I am delighted to have an Army chaplain on. Not sure I've ever really met one, and that's Mr. Lee Escobar, and he is at present with the U.S. Army Reserves. Welcome to Homekeepers.
Thank you, thank you.
Glad to have you here. Why did you go in the Army?
Well, basically, it was passed down to me. My mother was in the military. She actually raised 2 kids in the military as a single mom. My grandfather was in the military, and I grew up in a household where we didn't have a lot at first, and I was taught security, security, security. So in my mind, being in the military was to be safe and secure. And then around 15 years old, I accepted the Lord into my life, and it was just and I felt that calling on my life to preach and to pass the word on. And so what I did was I just combined the two. I had a military chaplain that was very influential in my family's life. So then what I did was I just said, you know what, I want to be a military chaplain. I want to take my calling, put it for my love for the military, and then on top of that, that would then transition to becoming an Army chaplain. So that was my goal from the time that I went to school.
Mm-hmm. What exactly does a chaplain do? They get into the thick of the battle like everybody else?
Well, and there's different phases. During when we're stationed at a unit, basically what we'll do is we'll do our equivalent to what's marketplace ministry. We'll go out to the motor pool, talk to the soldiers, having that presence there, saying that we're here. So that way we can start building that relationship with our soldiers. And anytime they need any help or they need anything, we're there to counsel them. We're there to be there for them. And also many times we're holding services in the chapel. Our purpose is to bring religious support to our soldiers, no matter where they're located at. So they have that dimension of their life taken care of, the spiritual aspect.
Yeah, because I would think, if you're on the battlefield, they can really get a lot of bad news from home.
Yeah.
And they need somebody to talk to. I mean, that's one of the things you do. I have been disturbed, though, with stories how the military is really greatly diminishing the role in recent months. In fact, we've addressed it on this program. And one congressman, I think it was Peter King, who turned it around. I mean, they were trying to say, and this was a certain military cemetery and funeral home in Houston, Texas. And Congressman King turned it around, but it was like there was just this real effort to remove God. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to be in a military that dissed God.
I agree 100%. I mean, it's amazing how everybody starts searching for God in the middle of in the middle of war. And even when a military chaplain is deployed, it tends to be one of the greatest moments in our ministries, because there's such a oneness, there's such a connection. There's everybody's so hungry. And that's what makes being a military chaplain so powerful, especially in that type of environment.
I've heard the saying most of my life, there are no atheists in foxholes.
You got it.
And also, with the internet now, so many moving pictures of soldiers praying together and all.
It's powerful.
Now, you want to help the military transition back into civilian life. What was it that ever occurred to you that this is something that you wanted to do?
Well, I've always been in the reserves, and at the same time, I was always running businesses at the same time. And I found the security, and I also found the joy of being able to give and having the financial status to be able to give, help other people, and change lives. And I seen what it was like as a kid growing up and struggling. I mean, my mother would actually bring us clothes in a garbage bag, and here she is, a sergeant in the Army and taking care of 2 kids. And I never wanted that for any of our military members. And I know that once there's a lot of military members, people don't know this, but they're actually on welfare and in the military. And then when they finally get food stamps, yes, and that's what I meant by food stamps.
That's a disgrace.
Yeah, and then they get out, and what do they have? What's next? So because I've been successful in business and because I've been very successful in investing, and I already traveled the country teaching people how to invest and how to change their lives from the financial point of view, I really want to start focusing on where my heart is, and my passion is to give back to our military members, especially in this day and age. There's a big need for it. They're moving from having this self-worth and self-esteem and confidence of being in uniform and this safety financially, and then moving to the civilian world and having an uncertainty. Right now, 1 military member, active duty member, is committing suicide a day, according to Time magazine. And if you add our veterans, 81 every 80 minutes is committing suicide. And there's a lot of different dimensions of why someone would commit suicide. And we're spiritual people, we're also emotional, we're physical, and we're also financial. We live in a financial world. So what I'm proposing and suggesting to help our military members is, let's go ahead and help them out in the financial realm, because their skills actually translate better to become an entrepreneur and to become a business owner, and would provide more self-esteem and confidence than it would translate into the regular workforce. Actually, in the military, we have what are called core values. And these core values are really entrepreneurial values, like courage. Opening up a business, it takes courage. Doing something different takes courage. Selfless service. And they're also spiritual values too, and a lot of people don't make that connection there. So what I'm proposing is take those core values, apply them to business, and give our military soldiers another option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think everybody's read or heard on TV that our military, when they do come in, they can't find a job. Yeah. It's just so wrong. It's so heartbreaking. And as you mentioned, our Army is skillful. Mm-hmm. This is all volunteer. You're getting, as they say, the best and the brightest. Nobody is coerced to join, and so as they learn these skills, they ought to be able to transfer to something.
Right. And a lot of times, what happens is, in the military, we have our own lingo, we have our own language. And then when you try to take that language, I mean, let's look at a tanker. I'm a tanker. What did I do? Just for laughs and fun, I blew things up, you're right? So you can't put on a resume, I was a tanker and I blew things up. So they have to translate that to, like, I was teamwork skills, leadership, you know, and they really don't know how to take those words and translate them into a resume. But I want to propose something different. Let's not give them one choice. I mean, really, like you said, it's hard to find a job. I mean, in the civilian world, how hard is it today for a college student to get a job? How hard is it for someone who's 40 years old and lose their job to get a job? And when a person retires, they're around 40 years old. So with that being said, they're going to have problems also. Now with the downsizing taking place, there's going to be a flood of military members looking for a job. And what I want to give them is this: you have what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur, to have financial independence. And the thing about my book, Rich Soldier, is not just for our military members, but it's for anyone who's in the battle for financial security. I was having a discussion earlier today, and I was discussing with someone how we need $3 million for retirement now. You retire at age of 65, average life expectancy, if you take all races, all places, all people, is 85. That's 20 years without a job. And those of us who are going to be retiring 20, 30 years from now, because the value of the dollar is different, you know, at one time $1 million was fine. Now it's $3 million. Yeah. How are you going to have $3 million for retirement? The rules of money have changed. And when they get into the civilian environment, and for anyone who's in a battle for financial freedom, or financial security, I should say, the rules of money have changed, how much we need for retirement. So I really propose in my book that there's things we have to do. Number one, we have to evolve. Let's change. Things are different. We have to have a different relationship to money. Rich in the Bible is kind of different from rich today, because today you have to be a multimillionaire just for retirement. So that's
what they tell us.
Yeah.
I want to put your website up because I didn't get a copy of your book, and so.
Well, what we're doing is going to come out in a couple of weeks, so the people can go to the richsoldier.com website, and I want to give them a first chapter to download for free.
It's up there right now, and we'll just go ahead and leave the website up. I want to talk about the emotional part, because as I see it, you have a man or woman, whoever the soldier was, male or female, and they've been in a whole different environment, a whole different culture, everything. Maybe they've had a stress level up to here because of bombs and these landmines and everything, and they've been gone a while. And then you have either the husband or the wife who stayed home, and now they're in charge of that home, and they're in charge of the checkbook, and they're in charge. And then they're strangers now. Yeah. They're strangers now, but they've got this marriage covenant, and I'm sure there are couples who really find their way. Thank God for Skyping and things, and email. They can really stay in touch. They don't wait for a letter at the mailbox. But how do you help those people to get back on track with really what's so important in life?
Well, first of all, we have to understand that the transition is there. Both spouses have to be understanding. And for even to make it through that tough time, there had to be a powerful love in between each other. And I tell people, those of you who don't make the transition as quickly, let's start dating again. There's nothing more powerful that, you know what, here's the roses again. Let's go out to eat, you know. Let me cook you dinner tonight, and let's rekindle the love. The love's already there. It's like a fire that may have gone out a little bit. So now it's time to fire it up again. Let's do what we did in the beginning to keep our relationship powerful, to bring the love together, and that would just make the transition a whole bunch smoother in that emotional realm.
What about those who, what do they call it,
PTSD?
PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome.
Disorder, sorry.
Yeah. Which is a real thing.
Yes.
It's not imaginary. How do they get through? What's the best way? I suppose there's degrees of it. What's the best way to get through that? Because they're really coming back wounded, you know, whether they've lost a leg or what, they're still wounded.
Well, I've had to deal with that firsthand. My brother did a tour in Iraq in the beginning, and he also fought in another war. When he came back, you know, he would be one of those people that would be labeled PTSD. But one thing that we learned to do was to give him a sense of purpose. By that time, I was very heavily involved in investing, real estate investing, and basically it just worked out this way pretty much. You got off the plane, let's go make this a family business, let's make it happen. I've seen firsthand how that would build up his self-esteem, his self-confidence, and how keeping busy and having a sense of purpose is what really helps curb the PTSD. When you're just existing and what's next, what do I do, that tends to fuel it. So that's why I'm proposing, again, let's take those. There's no better confidence than having a business, doing well financially. And I'm telling our soldiers, let's work on the financial aspect to reduce the stressors, and then it'll keep your head above water a little bit. And then once you feel successful in business, now you have the time to keep working out, dealing with your health. You also have the time also to get the other treatments, and you have the money also that's outside the military. So the main focus, I would say, is have a sense of purpose.
That's what I was going to say. That's the best thing that anybody can have, is a sense of purpose. How do you find these soldiers? Do they just cross your paths, the ones that you are trying to help and trying to steer? Because I think your message is so clear. You've got skills. We're going to find a place to put them.
Right. So right now, basically, we're doing heavy promotions with the book, try to get that out so they can even see that it's a possibility. A lot of them don't even know it's a possibility yet, that it's a choice to have a business. So now we're getting the word out through the book. We're doing a lot of stuff, of course, through the internet. And I also have a nonprofit called Operation Financial Freedom. And what I want to do is pass that type of financial freedom to our military members. And we're going into every way possible, every area possible. Anyone who wants to open up the door, we're here to change people's lives. We want to take that fire we have and success we had and put into their lives. So any avenue that's open, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I hope you're taking advantage of that website on the screen. Also, you kind of want to help steer them to affordable housing, which is also a big hurdle. And I don't know, you know, I know how hard America tries to keep the playing field level, but I don't know. I'd be inclined to help a soldier first. I think in so many of these areas.
I agree. I had one of my students tell me about another real estate investor that told them that don't put military members with PTSD inside the properties because they have these anger issues, and it really just put a fire underneath me to let people know this person here has PTSD, so that way you can be free, so that way you can be able to invest and have. And so they're going to be the ones who are going to take better care of your properties. They're going to be the ones who are also on top of that are going to be able to have the money because they're getting money for their PTSD, you know, from the military. And so there's nothing like having a military member in there. They're reliable people, and they understand the need for keeping things right.
Yeah, and as I said at the top of the show, walk up and tell them you appreciate them. And I know one thing about the military. I know this is first true in the Second World War and the others. When guys and gals come home, they don't talk about it much, and so you got to realize that there's a need. Boy, it's been a pleasure to have you.
It's been my pleasure.
And,
yes. And something I would like to do also is I like to give you a coin. In the military, what we do is we give out coins to individuals, and basically it's for build morale and also for any type of achievements. And basically they're the undocumented medals. And here's one of the coins that I would like to give you. It says on the top, Mission Financial Freedom. And on the back, the 4 things that you have to do in order to change your life, especially when they make the transition. Number 1, they have to evaluate where they're at, what they want to do, evolve, willing to change, and then educate, which means learn what you don't know in order to make the change, and then, of course, put it into action. And on behalf of all of our military members and on behalf of the change that we want to give them, I'd like to give this gift to you as this coin.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It is absolutely beautiful. It will have a place of honor in my office. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.